Greetings. This is Arvette McLean of Speak, the Universe Listens. As a very young person, I always felt that I carried the weight of the world on my shoulders, having to make grown-up decisions in order to survive a life marked with physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. While my face was smiling on the outside, on the inside, I always secretly cried and felt miserable. However, over the years, I learned some gems that helped to turn my life around. I now get to live the life of my dreams, filled with love, travel, and wonderment. And I am absolutely passionate about sharing what I have learned with you. If you want to live your best life, tune in each week as I, along with some amazing guests, share these life-changing gems with you. Inspired to be more, do more, have more.
Greetings and welcome to today's episode of Speak, the Universe Listens. And today's topic is the truth of who you are. And I have joining me Scott, Deborah, and Steven. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
It is so awesome to have everybody here today together. So we wanted to actually have a chance to come and talk to everyone during these times when we really can't get together, but at least we can do it on a Zoom call. So I'm glad to have you guys here.
Good to be here.
Yeah. And so the topic, again, is the truth of who you are. And one question that I think is so important that we have a good answer to is the answer to the question of who am I? Because however you answer that question, it's really going to color the rest of your life. It's going to color every step that you make. And so we need to start having a super answer to that question. And so I think so often we define ourselves based on things that have happened in our past, based on what we've been told, what we've been taught, those types of things. But we really need to take the time to come up with a good answer to the question of who am I? So you guys, you want to join in on the conversation?
Sure. I would say pretty much I think what's holding people back when you say who am I, right? What's holding people back, if anything, is themselves, honestly. You know, everybody sees themselves in a different light, you know, already. But the problem is that they don't know how to get to that next level, you know, that higher self. So one thing I would tell anybody, if anything, is stop trying to get acceptance from the outside world. You know, I think pretty much the fear that's holding people back is they're just looking for answers from side sources as far as to validate them as who they are. You know.
Personally, I'm starting to realize that the person is bigger than what we see, you know, our flesh, blood, bones. I feel that I am really all things, you know, and that the influence of society and my culture and my religion try to, in a way, maybe not intentionally, but it actually stifles your growth if you get kind of locked into the person you're being as what, you know, your experiences, what your outside influences are. So part of my discovery of me being all things came from going within and not seeking the answer outside of me. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Sometimes is a clear indication that the things that we are using to describe ourselves are not the truth of who we are. And, one thing now, I guess we're kind of doing this on Zoom because of what's going on in the world right now today with Corona. And some people are thinking from this perspective of, my source of income is gone. And so again, they're looking at these outward sources to describe who we are. But to remember, kind of as Deborah was saying there just a moment ago, is that, we're bigger than just our bones and body. We're bigger than this. And to start thinking from that perspective, when we say, who am I? Think about who created us, what created us. To think about, that which created us created everything. It created it all perfectly, and it is there. It made us, and so it made us perfectly. So it's nothing in error that's right here. It is nothing that is lesser than this right here. It is nothing that is weaker than this right here. And so that power, that strength, we want to be able to claim that as ours. Just as the title of this podcast is "Speak and the Universe Will Listen." The universe listens. We have that power when we talk about who we are. We have that power to be able to speak and have things transform and take, to take a different shape, a different formation. That's who we are. That's the truth of who we are, that we are powerful, that we are lovable, that we are loved, that we are just awesome in all ways. And just to be able to shed the littleness that we've associated with, for at least for myself, for most of my life, but to be able to just shed that littleness and to step into the power of who we are, I think is a magnificent gift, and that's something that we all should really aspire to doing.
Yes, I agree with everything everyone said, because I think they're different. Like, we kind of go through different levels. So it's at a certain point you think, most of the time, most of us think the worst of ourselves in the sense of, because this happened to me, this, and because this happened to me, that, and we just allow everything outside of us to define ourselves. And it does come a point in time when you start saying, well, who am I on the inside? But it's like you're doing it from an analytical basis, which is kind of a little bit what Stephen was talking about, like trying to figure out what do you really like, what do you bring to the world, what are your strengths and weaknesses, and those types of things. And so that is one level of actually taking some time to go in to see basically what your perspectives are. But then also, as everyone alluded to, we are so much bigger than who we pretend to be, who we parade to be. We think that we are confined in this physical body, but who we are is so much bigger, and we're all connected to each other and to everything and to our source. And if we're connected to our source, if we're a part of that, then, as Scott said, basically we're made perfectly. How can anything be wrong with us? And so I think, as Scott mentioned about the coronavirus, for example, that is something that appears to be something that's outside of us, but we are so powerful that whatever's on the inside of us is reflected outside of us. So whatever we speak, that's what's going to show up. Whatever we think, that's what's going to show up. And so a lot of times we're always thinking things are on the outside of us, that's happening to us, when really it's happening from us. It's emitting from us. And so and it's not a situation of blaming ourselves for anything that's going wrong, but to start taking responsibility for, well, what is inside of me that's allowing this situation to show up in the world.
Right. I agree with you out there, what you're saying. I think a lot of us sit back and we take on this victim mentality, right? And with that mentality, we just can't, I think individuals can't really get past the fact of that you have to take on responsibility for your actions, for your thoughts, what you project out here in the world. So when you really, when we sit back and we really think about what it is to think on an everyday basis, as far as how we think, and what it is that when we sit back and we think about things that we do on an everyday basis, we can sit back and say to ourselves, well, is this playing a part of me bettering myself to the person that I want to be?
Like a shift in your consciousness, a shift in your awareness. And going back to what you mentioned, Scott, that we have the power to do those things. For me, in my experience, that understanding came when I shifted my perspective, going back to what our vet said, with recognizing that the things that are happening are not happening to you. Looking at the situation as the things that are happening for me, right? They're happening for my benefit. And I'm utilizing them, going back to what you said, Stephen, as not having a victim mentality, but I'm stepping into my power and realizing that I have an opportunity for the things that are happening for me, right?
Right.
To learn from it, to ask the universe, to ask God, what am I learning here? What am I to learn here from this situation? And realizing that that is what changes my environment. If I'm not physically able to change my environment, like change where I am, I can change my environment in a way that I'm changing not what's around me, but what's within, right? What I'm allowing to come within my mind or my consciousness, and realizing that I have the power to shift my perspective and grow from that and expand from that viewpoint, and know that what's happening is happening for me, not to me. Very, very crucial step in, for me, that was a very crucial step in understanding where my power came from and understanding the steps and processes on how to start that change, and understanding like the truth of who you are or who I am. One of the main things though is just always having this understanding that there's more than what I'm seeing, more than what I'm going through. I am bigger than those things. I am more than those things. So that's what started it for me.
Awesome.
So, Arvette, I think I heard you say before, I am bigger than that, right?
I am more than that. Yes.
I am more than that. I am more than that.
I am more than that. Yes, indeed. And I think I went through levels as well, or I'm continuing to go through levels. And my first level was realizing that my past, which I thought was so terrible, and I had left those things. I came out of my childhood believing just like a lot of terrible things about myself, and I believed that I was powerless. I believed I wasn't good enough. I believed I was less than, etc. And at some point, I was able to, instead of seeing or viewing my past as things that had held me back, I started looking for, well, what was the good that came out of it? And then that's when I started realizing, because of those things, I am super strong, I'm super smart, I'm super compassionate. And so I just kind of flipped the script on myself. Like, not to say that I wouldn't have been those things, had those bad things hadn't happened, but it made me more of it. It made me more aware of who I am and the strengths that already embodied. So that was like a first level for me, is just being able to flip the script and to be thankful for the past versus kind of like cursing it. And then second level was a story I recently shared on the podcast, but that was when I really came to the realization that no matter how I show up in the world, it's purposeful, it's meaningful, it's beautiful. I'm connected to everything. And so coming to that realization that I'm connected to the source of all that is, it's like, how can how can I be wrong? How can I be not enough? How can I be all those things? And so that was like another level. And then like really stepping into that more and more on a regular basis. Like if I'm connected, then don't I have access? Can I just tap into these powers? And why do I only use these powers when things are bad? So I know beyond a shadow of a doubt when things get rough, I know I'm going to survive. I know how to do that. I know how to tap into the source at that time. So why not tap into it when things are going good and make them even better and start using these same powers to create a life that's just amazing and not one that's just mediocre and not one that, okay, it goes good for a little while, then it goes down, but one that's just amazing and filled with love and laughter and, you know, abundance and everything that I want in life. And so that was like another step for me. And even probably since the coronavirus has hit, which for us now, I think we've been experiencing it for approximately 3 weeks or so. Even since that time, I felt myself step into yet another level of awareness, another level of consciousness. But just the realization that it just keeps going because as humans, we're constantly evolving and expanding and being open to the ability to expand. And so, like I kind of alluded to, realizing that even the coronavirus is something that was inside of me. In order for me to be experiencing a part of this collective consciousness that's going on, taking responsibility for my role in having this come about at this time. And I don't think it's by accident. I don't think it's a curse. I think it's very timely. And, you know, it sounds crazy to say that perhaps because I know it's causing a lot of people a lot of pain and struggle. But at the same time, I think it's going to cause a lot more people to start tapping into their powers. And like Scott kind of mentioned that we think that we've lost our source of income and source of other things. But this is going to teach us that what we thought was our source, that's not the source. That job, that's not the source.
Right.
I would say my first step in actually realizing my true power, when I sit back and I quit my job, like when I first started, you know, I decided to make that step into opening up my business, right? And I was so scared. I was so scared that I was a little nervous, if anything, because the simple fact I didn't think that I could do it, right? But I realized that I kept telling myself that I was scared, that I was nervous, that, you know, all the what ifs were just going through my mind. So I realized that I had to adjust my thinking, you know? And so I took that step into adjusting my thinking, and then I actually started taking the steps towards getting the business going up off the ground. And step by step, when I was doing it, in the process of doing it, I realized I was like, wow, you know, I made the first step. I got my license. Wow. You know, I got my materials. Wow. You know, and it made me feel good as a person because it made me really think like it was nothing out here that was holding me back. The only thing that was holding me back was myself. And so I took that responsibility, like what you were talking about. I took responsibility for myself. And when I did, that's when everything changed. That was like one step. The second step, as far as how I think, my mindset, what really hit home was analyzing my whole life as far as the things that I was holding on to, as far as bitterness, you know, towards family members or things that didn't go right in my life that I wanted to go right. And when I really thought about it, I said, wow, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm pointing the finger at everybody, you know, and yet I'm the only person that I that I haven't really pointed the finger at. You know, I haven't even analyzed myself. So when I did, I thought about it and I said, you know what? My mindset is so set on the negative that I can't even see past, I can't even see the positive, the positive in all my situations. And so when I adjusted that, I said, you know what, that's the past. We're not worried about the past. I'm not going to let the past hold me back. And I think a lot of people do that a lot of times. They sit back and they think about their past and they hold on to it so tightly because letting it go lets go of that victim mentality, And so I actually did let it go. I leveled myself up mentally. I leveled up spiritually. I recognized that I am my own power, and I stepped into that power in the right track of leveling ourselves up, and staying on course.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up your experience with holding on to the past. And that definitely is something I learned that keeps you stuck. It doesn't allow you to move forward. So you have to have an open heart, a trusting heart that you're being guided, by source, by the universe. So that you're not only speaking when you hold on to negative past experiences, you're continuing to put that energy out there. And so you're reliving those experiences, or you're looking to relive that experience in the next situation. But when you're able to let that go, then you speak a different language to the universe. You're asking for more of the things that you enjoy, that are making you happy. If you're in the stream of awareness of your true self, right? Because our topic is, who are you? So if you're more in the awareness of your true self, which is love and happiness and joy, and gratefulness, gratitude, and openness, then you're speaking that, right? Through what you're thinking, through what you're feeling, through what you're expressing, and you're gaining more of that.
If anything, with the mindset, right, I realized as bad as I wanted to think positive at that time, as bad as I wanted to think positive and change my mindset, I was really sitting back and accepting being a low vibrational person, because I was still holding on to those past experiences.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of individuals out here, they want to be on a higher level mentally, but what stops them is how they view themselves. Right. So how can they change viewing themselves? How can they sit back and stand in their own power? How can they change their mindset?
Right.
It's simple. We just talked about, taking responsibility, being aware, and when you are, then all you have to do is put forth the action.
One of the things that was said a little earlier was that sometimes people are waiting until they get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And definitely when we get to that place, that's when a lot of people get that catalyst to be able to make change and be able to move forward. But the key piece to remember, though, is that you do not have to wait until you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. Wherever you are right now, you can choose to make that transformation. And you can start taking some time where you just kind of get still, get quiet, get so there's no interruptions taking place, and truly ask the question, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And allow the universe to speak back to you to answer that question for you. And so as you begin to do that, you'll begin to get those answers that are not based off of your past. You'll begin to get that feeling, a feeling of love, of passion, of excitement will just be coming to you from the universe itself, because that's where it is already at, is already within us. And so often, though, when we wait until we get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and we're all in this frustrated mindset, we're trying to make our decisions from this negative energy, from this lower energy. And even though it still is energy, so it's creative, but it's going to create more like itself. We're going to be creating more things to get us upset, get us irritated, to make us feel little. However, if we can stop first, release those past thoughts, release those past emotions and energies, and step into the truth of who we are, from there, we can now begin to bring to us things that are more powerful, more positive, more loving, more peaceful, those things that we choose to really experience. And, I can't remember what, I think maybe all of you have talked about being in a place of awareness,
Right.
which is powerful. That's what we have to do, is to continuously be in that place of awareness. What are we feeling right now? Am I feeling the peace? Am I feeling love? Or am I feeling the tension, the stress, the irritation? What are you feeling? If you're feeling something that is not good, then it's time to stop again and remember who you are. So if you're thinking, I'm not enough, if you're thinking, nobody likes me, if you're thinking God messed up when he created me, if you're thinking any of those negative thoughts like that, stop and ask the question again, who are you? If you were created by perfection itself, can perfection mess up in your creation? And it becomes laughable sometimes when you look at it from that perspective. So to connect to this truth of who you are, if you're saying that you're sick and you're tired, you're weak and this types of things, you're also saying that's what God is. And to think, God's sick, it doesn't even make sense in our minds. And, if we're created by this being, he's created us in his likeness and his image, is often said, right? So whatever we're describing ourselves as, we're describing God as. Whatever we can describe God as, we can describe ourselves as well. We are powerful. You are powerful. You are unlimited. You have the ability to create happiness in your life right now, at this moment. You don't have to wait until tomorrow. Right now, at this moment, release the past thoughts. Release the errors that you've made in the past. Release the errors you've been placing on other people, holding them back as well. Release all of that and step into the power of who you are right now.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing to that. And Arvette, maybe you could speak to this comment/question really quickly. When you have those unfortunate circumstances or negative thoughts, I think people relate to those thoughts and feelings as who they are. And Arvette, you spoke to that earlier about your steps in recognizing that you are not your past, you are not what you've been through, and in being able to release that in different levels and stages and to find the true self.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of like what Stephen was saying about sometimes we're like pointing the fingers everywhere else, and but we're holding on to the past or whatever. And I remember specifically asking my brother Scott, asking him, if I gave up my story, then who would I be? And so I was hesitant to give up my story because I didn't know who I would be without it.
Yeah.
And I was at a point where I realized I was, that I was smart because of the story, and I was, compassionate because of the story. And so I was in a place where I had flipped it, where it was a good story, it was a good outcome.
Yes.
But at the same time, I knew I needed to move up or level up, as Stephen would say, go to the next level with it. But I didn't know how to let go of the story. Mm-hmm. And what he said to me was, you're those things anyway. You're compassionate, loving, kind, caring, giving, joyful. You're all those things anyway. So you don't need the story to be those things. And so he was saying how all of us, if you picture us like, if you think of a lamp, and the lamp is turned on, the light is shining, and then you put a shade on top of the lamp so it will appear a little darker. And then you put some veils on top of the lamp shade, and it gets darker and darker and darker. And so now you don't even see the light, and you even forget that the light is there. But the only thing you have to do is start removing the veils. And as you remove the veils, you'll see the light shine, and the light has been shining the whole time. And that's how we are. Like, all we have to do is start just removing the veils. And we can either do it from a state like Stephen is saying, like you can do it step by step by step, or you can learn from the way we did it, which is we just jump to recognizing you are connected to the source of all that is. That's who you are. You're a
Yeah.
part of that. And we don't have to define ourselves by anything because we're already everything. We're already everything. And so once we start stepping into that we are everything, that's what changes everything for you. And one of the experiences that I had just yesterday, as a matter of fact, I was saying to myself, I just placed my hands on my heart and I said, I am the power that loves me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept saying it. I am the power that loves me. I am the power that loves me. I am the power that loves me. And I just became overwhelmed, just extremely tearful, and I just, crying like I'm that power. I'm the power that loves me. I'm the power that heals me. All that is in me.
Yes.
I think I'm a little choked up again.
Me too.
But at any time, we have the power to breathe in divinity. We have the power to, at any time, we can just stop, as Scott was saying, be still, and just take those breaths and remember, infuse yourself with who you really are. And, we're in a pattern of thinking we're these small, limited creatures, but we're so much more. And, I had kind of mentioned about my responsibilities as it relates to the coronavirus and realizing that, like I said, what's on the inside comes out. We create, we see what's in us. We see that outside of us. And so what I was realizing was that I help pollute the world every day. Every time I think I'm not good enough, or every time I think I'm not smart enough, or every time I think, I'm not anything enough, I'm polluting the world.
Mm.
And so it's like if I'm saying it about me, I'm also saying it about you. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not kind enough. You're not loving enough. You're not good enough.
Mm.
And why would I put that out into the world? And so just learning to consciously, as Scott saying, being aware of the thoughts that you're having in every moment. And I know we do that autopilot thinking, but the
Right.
more we can bring our thoughts back and catch ourselves when we are off track, when we're thinking, that someone else is wrong, because they're not wrong either. That's something Stephen always says. If you
Yes.
think somebody else is wrong, but they're right too. You're right and they're right. And so the same Scott was saying about to think that God is sick or God is not enough, that how laughable is that? And so in the same way that we would see Jesus Christ, or, Buddha, or any of those holy people, that we wouldn't dare say anything like that about. That's how we see the next person. That's how I see you, as perfect. I see you as perfect because you are. There's no mistake. And I see me as perfect. And the more I can see me as perfect, the easier it is for me to see you as perfect. And the more I see you as perfect, the easier it is for me to see me as perfect.
That mindset right there just starts to make people, it starts to come contagious to others, and that's just one step on how to change the world, slowly but surely. I think everybody need to think about more of what it is that they want and less of what you don't want. The more you put all your focus into all the things that you want, you're too busy focusing on what's coming to you, what's manifesting to you. The things that you're trying to get in your life that you don't even have the time no more to sit back and even think about you. Think about these things. So I think everybody needs to, at a point, some point in their life, start the day. Hey, let me start focusing on what I want to bring into my life. I want to bring joy. I want to bring happiness. I want to bring
And
safety.
then be that joy and be that happiness.
Exactly.
There we go.
And walk it every day. Because when people see that within you, then that's when they want to sit back and, like I said, it becomes contagious.
Yeah. And you know, and like our vet is saying also, is to be that joy, be that happiness, be that abundance, be those things right now that you're choosing to experience. And when you're, you know, if you think about it, if you're being happy, are you going to be sitting like this? Probably not. I mean, you know, be that joy right now, wherever you are, wherever, you know, and maybe you're not at that place where you're able to do it continuously all throughout the day, but take certain times throughout the day, maybe a time in the morning, the afternoon, at night, where you actually just stop and say, you know what, how would it feel to be abundant? How would it feel to be blissful? How would it feel to be loved? How would it feel to be loving? And just get into that energy, see it, feel it, experience it with all that you are. The more you begin to do that, the more it will become natural for you, the more you will find yourself in that place. And we all have a little extra time right now anyway, staying at home. You know, all these restaurants are closed, you can't go out and eat, and you can't go out and play top golf or whatever. You know, you have some time now where you're able to just take the time and go within to be with yourself and make great use of that time right now. Just really make great use of that time.
I love this topic because it's the one that makes the biggest difference. Like just really getting in touch with the truth of who you are. And so basically, as far as how to do it, again, just be still and go within. You can ask yourself, you can ask the universe, God, source, spirit, however you want to phrase it, but ask yourself, who am I? And listen for the answer, and just know that you are more than everything you've been through. And however, I would say that those things are very purposeful, as Deborah has said, because you learn so much. It gives you the opportunity to grow and to stretch your wings and that type of thing. But it also gives you a unique perspective in life. It gives you a way of viewing the world that no one else has. Like, only you can view the world the way that you do. And so our past is not irrelevant. It's very purposeful, and it's something that you can really say thank you about. And yeah, I don't want to like be on the soapbox, so I'm gonna stop there. But I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. I always enjoy being with this group of people, and I always enjoy having the opportunity to speak on this podcast and to be with you all who are listening to the podcast. So if anybody has any closing words, feel free to share it now.
Hey, if anything, you know, I would tell people focus more on what it is that you want in life, less of what you don't want. Make it happen for yourself.
Yes. And you are not the sum of your experiences. You're bigger than that.
Well said. Well said. Know that you are loved, you are loving, and you are lovable right now, just as you are.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. And guys, look for us to come again, all four of us on Zoom very soon. Until next time.
All right.
Bye.